A toxicology report showing that a man had methamphetamine in his system during a crash that severely hurt a Wichita teen. This is all according to a newly released affidavit for 54-year-old Christopher Alexander. Dylan Domingue joining us to talk about what's in that affidavit. And Dylan, Alexander was arrested nearly a year after this.
Well, that's right. Alexander is now facing charges including aggravated battery and driving under the influence. It's for a crash that had injured 18-year-old DeAndre Rogers, who suffered a traumatic brain injury. Now, the affidavit says Alexander claimed he had fallen asleep driving home from a friend's house, but officers found a small bag in his pocket that contained a substance that looked like methamphetamine. The crash happened in June of last year, but charges were not filed until this month. That is because Kansas state law lacks definition of what over the limit is for hard drugs, so an expert needed to confirm it. The affidavit shows the drugs were identified as meth back in February, and a toxicologist confirmed in March the amount would be enough to cause impairment in most people. Alexander made his first court appearance on May 13th. He is scheduled to make his second appearance next week. Mike.
Dylan, thank you.